Speaking out against my abuser ruined my life.
So, how did we get here? Hi. So, this is my first long-form video. I'm kind of excited to make this, but it's probably not going to be the best, commentary thing you've ever seen, so please keep your expectations
low.
But anyways, today we're going to be speaking about the Melanie Martinez controversy. As some of you may know, I used to be a Mel fan account, so I'm going to try to be as unbiased as possible in how I'm explaining this. Just a rundown of the entire situation if you don't know about it. One of Melanie's old friends called Timothy Heller posted a lengthy, ginormous paragraph about how Melanie essayed her and everything. These accusations were originally brought to light in 2017, but now Timothy Heller is back with a TikTok basically restating all of her claims and everything. First, I'm going to be reading what Timothy said about Mel in the original paragraphs that she wrote. I have kept this a secret for years, convincing myself it wasn't a big deal and I wasn't hurt by it. The thought of accepting that my best friend me seems insane. Even typing that doesn't feel real to me. I started telling the story to those closest to me as somewhat of a joke. Haha, can you believe this crazy night? But I began to get responses I wasn't expecting. Concerned ones. It's hard to say someone you love you, someone you still love. The thought of writing this, having the world see it, terrifies me, especially because of who this person is. This was my best friend. She took me in, which I was so grateful for. I felt like I owed her my life, and my life began to revolve around hers. I had my own problems, but if I could focus on her life, I could put off dealing with my own inner turmoil for just a little longer. Some of her fans became my fans, but their loyalty never strayed from her. They are dedicated. She's perfect to the public. She can do no wrong. She's there for her fans. She gets it. She's different. When faced with a friend who really needed help, though, I can honestly say she let me down completely. During the most difficult time in my life, my rock bottom, her power and control over me grew and grew, and I was silenced. While being open about realizing how much help I needed, I was made to feel guilty. I had to apologize for having an extreme panic attack where I thought I was going to die because it ruined her night. Endless incidents like this. I had become a problem, yet through it all, I loved her. Codependency works in a lot of strange ways. In my relationship with this friend, I was dependent on helping her with her life. As soon as I needed a small bit of focus and support from my best friend, there was nothing for us to relate to each other about. Our friendship was about her. The power she had over me grew into having a very hard time saying no to her. I would do almost anything for her. One night, during a sleepover, she became increasingly interested in sexual preferences. As someone who had previously been through sexual abuse, sex is a hard thing for me to talk about. I was obviously uncomfortable, but she was my best friend, so I tried to be open about it. The conversation never seemed to end, though. I had work very early in the morning. She began asking me while in bed if I would have with her. While being incredibly uncomfortable by this offer, I attempted to laugh it off. I had a boyfriend at this time, and she knew that. He doesn't have to know, it's not a big deal. It went on for hours, asking me why I didn't want to. That it would be fun. I repeatedly said no. I had work in the morning. I just wanted to sleep. I was exhausted. I attempted to sleep, but was kept up the entire night by my friend begging me to sleep with her. It seemed strange, but she was my best friend. I said no, and I thought we could move on. The next night, unfortunately, went the exact same way. Regardless of my response the first night, she was not giving up. If she had gotten the hint, she didn't care. I was exhausted. She convinced me to smoke weed, and since I have a hard time saying no to her, I compiled, thinking maybe then I'd just fall asleep and avoid the situation altogether. The same conversation began to happen, continuously trying to convince me that I was going to be okay and it would be fun and it would feel good. I would say my boyfriend would be so upset. I need to sleep. I have work in the morning. I said every form of no I could think of. As I lay praying to fall asleep, she began touching my arm. I allowed this to happen. Maybe she'd give up. This went on for maybe an hour. I got increasingly uncomfortable. I started giggling, saying that it tickled. I in no way wanted to make this a sexual situation. Can I just do this? Can I touch your arm? Can I just touch your... She began berating me. All I wanted to do was go to sleep. She began talking about the appearance of my and begged just to touch them. We didn't have to do anything else. I was so exhausted and confused and high that I just belittled and allowed it to happen. This led her to touching the rest of me. I never said yes. I said no, repeatedly, but she used her power against me, and she broke me down. Just so there's no confusion, I was by my best friend. I lay still in shock, completely not reciprocating. I hate speaking up so bluntly on this because it makes me extremely uncomfortable. The bottom line is that I need to always remind myself that I said no for 2 nights straight. It doesn't matter that I didn't resist during the action. I had been broken down. She knew I didn't want to. I made that clear. I didn't scream at her. I didn't force her off me. 1, because I loved her. 2, because I just wanted it all to be over. We never talked about this night ever again. While it completely messed with my head, there was no way I could have been by my best friend, right? Our friendship ended because she decided she didn't have time for me anymore, to worry about me anymore. She cared too much about me. It was holding her back. I'm not sure how to end this story. I'm terrified of the response I'm going to get. The only reason I do this now is because I'm hoping, because of recent events, people will believe me. If you begin to doubt the abuse taking place in the story, I beg you to imagine her role of being a man. Girls can girls. Best friends can best friends. Friendship does not equal consent. Silence does not equal consent. I wish it wasn't hard for me to convince myself of these things. About a day after this original tweet was posted, she came out with a tweet saying, I never said who it was that I was talking about, but it was about Melanie Martinez. I'll put the tweet up here if I can find it, but right now I can't find it, so it might just be a blank screen for now. After she posted that, she got a ton of backlash from Melanie's fans. Melanie was also getting a ton of backlash, but it was mostly Timothy that was getting all of it. People were sending death threats, burning merch, and everything. It was so crazy, honestly. Melanie soon came out with a statement to address all the backlash. They said, quote, I am horrified and saddened by the statements and story told tonight by Timothy Heller. What she and I shared was a close friendship. For a period of time, we came into each other's lives as we were both starting our careers as artists, and we tried to help each other. We both had pain dealing with our individual demons and the new paths we were forging, but I truly felt we were trying to lift each other up. She never said no to what we chose to do together, and although we parted ways, I am sending her love and light always. Melanie got a lot of backlash after she said this statement, specifically for the line, she never said no to what we did together. Because in Timothy's statement, she said, I said no in many different ways. After Melanie said that, a lot of people went to Timothy's side and stood with her instead. Timothy was doing many interviews to tell people about her situation, which she shared these photos. In the first photo, Melanie seems to be in a blindfold with handcuffs around her arms. From what I've heard, it was a game that they found at a thrift shop, and then Timothy said, oh my god, that's so stupid, we should get it, or something similar to that. The second photo is actually like a video, but I just took a screenshot of it because I didn't want to put the entire video there, but it was a video of Timothy's iCloud from a now deleted tweet. According to Timothy, the original timeline was from June 24th to June 26th, but as you can see, the photo of Melanie was taken on May 6, 2015. Many people took this as proof that Timothy was lying about the entire thing. But in my opinion, I don't think it was that important for her to remember the exact date, because it's hard to remember stuff as traumatic as that. Also, on June 25th, Melanie posted this photo. As you can see in the caption, she was heading home from New York because she was on the Crybaby tour at the time. This was another thing that people used as quote proof that Timothy was lying. Timothy tried to back herself up with saying that her iCloud was messed up, so that's why she got the dates wrong. A lot more happened, but I'm trying to keep this video as short as possible, so we're just gonna move on to present day. It's 2024. All of Melanie's fans have either forgotten about the incident or have just stood by her side the entire time. Melanie now is growing more and more, and she is on her trilogy tour right now. In the middle of all this, Timothy decided to post a TikTok stating her claims again. Since I don't have TikTok, I'll be playing a YouTube video re-uploaded by this person. Thank you, whoever you are.
Speaking out against my abuser ruined my life, and I'd like to talk to you about it. I'm going to be reading something I wrote. It's not particularly well written, but I just needed to collect my thoughts. Whether you know who I am or not, I ask you to please listen to my story. If you do recognize me, then you haven't heard from me in a couple of years, and that's because I was effectively run off the internet. You also may have heard that I admitted to lying or that it was proven that I lied. Neither are true. Speaking out against my abuser ruined my life. Here's how we got to that point. During the Me Too movement, I chose to speak out against a former friend who had essayed me. I was young, naive, and could never imagine how this would end up affecting my life. I believed that as long as I told the truth, things would turn out all right. I was very wrong. After my initial statement, describing in detail what happened, my abuser issued a statement in response. She used the sentence, "She never said no to what we chose to do together." While I did say no, in many different ways, the sentence was actually quite validating for me to hear. She clearly didn't understand how consent works, and she admitted that something took place between us. I wish it ended there. I made the mistake of doing an interview with Daily Mail. While being interviewed, they asked for more specific details, like when the incident took place. It'd been around 2 years prior, so I didn't remember the exact date. What I did remember was a picture I took the next day. I went back in my camera roll, found the picture, and told them the day of the incident was the day before. Unfortunately, I was wrong. The picture in my camera roll appeared multiple times. I can't explain why. When the interview came out, her fans went back in her posts to that date to find that we were in different states. If you've never heard my story before, you might at this point wonder, why would that matter? She admitted something between you took place in her statement. I agree, and this is just one of the parts that drives me crazy. After this discovery, she released a second statement, in which she thanks her fans for researching the timeline and analyzing past Instagram posts which reveal my false statements. Unfortunately, this was enough for 99% of her fans to take what she said as truth and deem me a liar. The complete contradiction of her statements meant nothing. The events after this are so much and so overwhelming it's hard for me to recount. She ended up releasing essentially a diss track about me, with lyrics perpetuating the idea that I lied about all of this for fame. I was a small musician at the time, and after speaking out, gained tens of thousands of followers. While there were some supporters, the majority of the followers were people who actively hated me. I suddenly had thousands of hate accounts dedicated to me, thousands of dislikes and negative comments on all of my music, and completely ridiculous fabricated stories of me being posted online. I really hoped it would die out and people who liked me would stick around and I'd be able to move on with my career, but it never died. Anything I attempted to do was infected with this story. Googling me results in many first-page results calling me a liar. The people who hated me took it upon themselves to ruin every opportunity for me. Partnerships with brands, modeling opportunities, they were all flooded with comments saying I lied about SA. In addition to this, my home address, phone number, and family's phone numbers were all leaked. I became so discouraged with my own music career, I essentially stopped. I started doing SW in an attempt to regain some autonomy, but that was taken from me as well when people who hated me hacked the account. I was just trying to move on. My adult content was being spread and mocked by the people who hated me. Every single one of my social media accounts was hacked, including my email. The only thing they didn't get into was my bank account. I was given the classic fuck the haters advice, but until you're bombarded with the amount that I had to endure, you really can't imagine how it would affect you. It was just so much louder than any amount of support I was receiving. As you can imagine, my mental health was and is majorly affected by this situation. And while I wish I was the type of person with the confidence to say fuck the haters and stick it out, I'm just not. I'm sensitive and not self-confident and never have been. And this made it so much worse. It got to the point where I could no longer put up with the abuse. Holding onto this public image was no longer worth the pain, and I deactivated all of my public accounts. In doing this, I also saw this as completely giving up on being a musician. I couldn't put myself through the public scrutiny anymore. So that's where I've been the past couple of years, in private. It was a huge relief to no longer be bombarded with the amount of hate I was receiving every day, but now I'm stuck with the after effects. I imagine every day the life that I could have lived if this all hadn't happened. Would I be the musician I always wanted to be? It's kept me in a complete freeze state. I won't go into too much detail about how much I've been suffering the past couple of years. Frankly, it's embarrassing. I wish I could move on, but I've never wanted things to be over more than I have now. I've been in partial hospitalization programs and attempted to regain any semblance of confidence and hope for my life, but I can't shake that this is the wrong timeline for me. I didn't do anything wrong. I spoke the truth. If you're familiar with my story, you may have also heard that I admitted to lying, and I can assure you that never happened. There were photoshopped images spread around of a confession that never happened because I have nothing to confess. I never lied. You may have also heard that I accused other celebrities of this, which I can promise you never happened either. There's so many other terrible things that people have made up about me that I'm not going to dissect and defend right now, but I was successfully gaslit into thinking I was a bad person who deserved this. I'm so scared to speak out about this again. There's a high possibility that I won't receive any support from this, and people who hate me will target me again, and I go back into hiding. I ask that if you are someone who is under the impression that I lied about this, to please hear me out. Please think about her contradicting statements. Please realize that there's no one on earth who knows what happened that night besides me and her, and even the smallest possibility that I could be telling the truth should be enough for you to not want to risk ruining an innocent person's life in this way. I'm completely exhausted from begging people to believe me for years now. I'm not sure what I'm hoping will come from this. It's gotten to be quite humiliating to beg people to care. But if you haven't heard my story before, thank you for hearing me, and I could really use your help in rewriting the false narrative of who I am and what happened to me.
After Timothy posted this video, the fandom was very divided in what to think. Many Melanie fans have left the fandom, including me, because I just want to stay out of this until the truth comes out. Many people think Timothy just wants to steal the fame away from Melanie since she's on her trilogy tour this is the peak of her fame right now. So many people think that she's trying to destroy that. This entire situation has been genuinely so confusing for me because I have loved Melanie for like 4 years now, and it's so crazy that these things are now just coming to light. If Melanie actually did that, I would be absolutely devastated, and I would probably stop listening to her music altogether because I don't want to support anyone who did that to a person. Melanie still has not issued a response to the recent TikTok that Timothy has posted. There's a huge possibility that Melanie won't even respond because it was a very long time ago, and now these things are just coming back slowly. For now, I'm trying to stay neutral on this entire thing and just watch both sides equally. Though I have an issue with people that just stick on Melanie's side no matter what, like even if she did do the acts that Timothy is accusing her of. And they say,
"Oh, she would never do that because she's such a good person."
do you know Melanie personally? No, probably not. She could be like microwaving babies behind the scenes and like nobody would know. This is a good example of parasocial relationships that many people have with celebrities. I think I'm gonna end the video there because this is like 16 minutes long. So I hope I explained this in a way that you can understand. Like I said, this is like my first like long form video that I've done. So please don't make fun of me because I have no idea what I'm doing. Anyways, please pray for my storage after I export this video, and have a good afternoon, evening, or night. And goodbye.